Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Have we made it to the other side of this Zoom call into the Facebook realm? I think we have. Welcome back, everybody. We have a guest expert session tonight. It's myself, Greg, and we have a new face, Jillian Kendrick, who is just another amazing contributor to the Keap partner community. She comes to us from Florida. Um, if you're into beaches and that type of thing, that's a place that you'd want to go hang out. And we were just talking. She had the opportunity to have a little bit of a Keap partner hangout over the last couple of days with some of our other partners. So that's just nice to hear and see that our partners are getting together. And it's just a meeting of great minds, not only virtually but in person, which is fantastic as well. We have a topic this evening that is near and dear to my heart, and I want to get to that in just a second. But I do want to make sure you know who Jillian is and how much of an expert she is on the topics that she's about to share with us today. So Jillian and I go way back. I wouldn't even be able to put a year on it just because I don't think I could remember the exact moment, but there were live events, many live events in the past. I remember in New York, there was an event that we did that was 4 or 5 years ago that you were at, but I think that wasn't even the beginning of our relationship. Do you remember what the first time was we met?
I think it was 2013. You, Greg, and shout out to Scott Richens were circling the globe teaching Infusionsoft University. You happened to be in Orlando, and I was like, oh, I kind of know Infusionsoft, and but I really want to get like this whatever the like certification thing was at the time, but I don't want to go the first day because it's all beginner stuff. So I literally called headquarters and was like, hey, can I pay like half the money and come for one day? And they're like, yeah, sure, come on, blah, blah.
Ooh.
I don't know who I talked to or how I got away with that, but I went for like the one day to university and it was amazing and met you guys. And
I remember that event, and I also remember going to Disney's. What was that Disney's food park area that was there in Orlando, and overeating every night that we
have
were
to.
there. Yeah, it was really really good. But so Jillian has been around is the point that I'm trying to make. She knows the system since it was a legacy system, and she has continued to just be active in the community, helping people build campaigns and organize their database. There is a new addition to Jillian's family. She does have a baby by the name of Nate, and he is napping right now. You want to show us where he is? Yep, there with your giant monitor there. And the reason I bring Nate up is Jillian has a company that is called the Automated Mama. And Automated Mama and the story behind it is just really inspiring. When she found out she was going to have a kid, there's kind of this moment where you essentially said, hey, I want to make sure I can spend the most time possible with my kid. And the way that we described it just a moment ago is you kind of felt like winter was coming. So I would love for you to kind of talk about the origin story of this new kind of mindset where I'm automating not only for the money and the finances, but to me, the time element, just the value there just kind of lifted off when you knew you were going to be a mom.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks, Michael. So my husband and I, we found out we were pregnant and I was like, okay, I've been doing a lot of the things, doing most of like our client management, our project management, like the strategy and sales and the things and the this and the accounting and the blah 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 and wearing all the hats like we all do. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have a baby. That baby takes up a lot of my time. I need to figure out how to keep the ship not just afloat, but like charging forward, right? And I was able to then basically like get myself out of that comfort zone that I had been in, because I had two due dates the way that I saw it. I had a due date for when this baby was coming, and I had a due date for when I would no longer be 100% in my business. And I had to figure out a way to duplicate myself, replace myself, and take even some semblance of a maternity leave. So between hiring a team, and I have an amazing team now, automating as much as humanly possible with like integrations and project management stuff and all of that, I was able to like still make six figures and work like 5-ish hours a week, and my team took care of everything, and we like doubled our business last year during COVID. And like my son literally saved my business because I was too comfortable doing the things, and I don't know that I would have taken that leap if not for like that due date.
That is just such a cool story, and it has a happy ending, right?
Oh yeah.
I just love to hear that, and and I think that a takeaway, even though for you there was kind of the pregnancy and the child that kicked you in the butt, is you don't have to wait for that moment, right? You should take that time for yourself, back, and use it in whatever way you want. There's got to be something out there for everyone where, hey, if I had 5 or 10 hours, or if you want to look at it at a per day rate, 2, 3, 4 hours per day that I could have back, do what you can to get there. So let's stay on that for just a second before we get into the topic. What to you was kind of the main things that you would say you automated that gave you time back, in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, I recognized this immediately, but it was like in total denial of it, because I think we all are, was that being being busy or being overwhelmed does not equate to productivity, and does not equate to dollars in my pocket or hours back to my life.
Wow.
Let's just let that sink in for a quick minute. And I was so happy, like juggling all the plates and keeping them all up in the air and feeling like, oh, look at me, I'm so busy, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm doing a good job. No, like you can automate this stuff. You can get rid of those, not get rid of, but you can delegate away or automate off your plate those $10, $20 tasks that you do not need to do, that you are not good at. I was not good at accounting, hired somebody to do that. I was not good at graphic design, hired somebody to do that. I would write, like, I did not want to be the person going in to click the button and do the da 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 da. Hired somebody to do that, right? And that's not the only solution, but I think the overarching theme is that, yeah, just being busy and being overwhelmed did not equal dollars in my pocket or hours back to my life. And that, when you can like let that sink in, that in itself is just so empowering.
Let me interject quickly, because it's been, nearly 10 minutes and I haven't said anything. And so it makes me a little uncomfortable when I don't. No, I'm just kidding. First of all, thanks for sharing, Jillian. I know like firsthand that I know that it's not always fun to like brag, to like talk about like your own success, but the reason that you're doing it and that you are comfortable sharing that is because you know that it's possible for other people as well. And like, this is a transformation that should feel so obvious for somebody who knows automation and small business the way that you do. But like, it took a catalyst for you to like embrace it and take your own medicine and to be like, oh, it still works, and it works more and better than I even thought or believed. And that's a breakthrough that like that I heard from Scott Martineau last night, the first time that they had a sequence that created sales for them. And I share, I've had my own version of that story, and I think so many people have as well. And so I just, I love when we can capture and shine a light on that moment even for seasoned entrepreneurs or seasoned small business owners, such as yourself. So thank you for being willing to share that. I also want to just say what's up to some of the folks that we have on live. You're getting a lot of love. Cameron and Jillian are like, yeah, I cleared my schedule, or Cameron and Jade, I cleared my schedule because I heard it was Jillian. Jill is here and said, I wish I had been able to automate more things when my kids were young. Her kids are now 25 plus, but it's like, yeah, props to you.
Never too late.
Yeah,
Never too
exactly.
late.
Monique said that was a powerful statement, what you said about being busy not equaling productivity. Tanya is here from Australia, said the same thing. Yeah, so just lots of love coming in. This is helpful, and I like the direction we are headed.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Greg, I did miss your voice. I'm glad you chimed in. I just want to iterate that.
I figured.
Yeah. So Jillian, obviously, you are an amazing Keap certified partner, and there's lots of different areas of the software that we could have chosen for you to present on. But there is a particularly fundamentally important topic that we focused on for your presentation tonight, and that is the organization of your database through using the two main segmentation tools, which are tags and custom fields. And before I pass it over to you, I can just say my personal experience with tags and custom fields. I have a long love-hate history with tags and custom fields. As I was a technical account manager for our trusted advisors, which are larger accounts, one of the biggest problems that I had in that role were people coming to me and saying, my tags are messy. I don't know how to find the people that I want to find. What can I do about it? And I'm sure you'll talk about the different ways you can tag, but what I can say up front is it is one of the most important things to get right early so that as you progress inside of the application, you are set up for success. And with that, I would love to hear what you have to say about using tags and custom fields and keeping your database organized.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I couldn't agree more that starting out, like when you first start out with, and it doesn't matter, like light, pro, max, max classic, whatever you got, whatever your jammy jam is, whatever you got going on, having some kind of like a naming convention, having some kind of like organizational system is crucial, but it's also like the hardest place, because when you're starting fresh and like the system is your oyster, you don't really know exactly what to do, what direction to take, and then you just say, okay, well, I'm just going to do it, and you just throw stuff in there and put tags in there, and I'm like, do as I say, not as I do, because I am equally guilty of that. And then you just kind of progress through and, okay, we're launching this thing, or we've got this new product, so we need more tags. And then that gets thrown on top of that, right? And it becomes this like paper mache mesh of like this tag on top of that on top. And then before you know it, you potentially have this like rat's nest of tags, and maybe a year ago you changed your naming convention, and so all of those tags beforehand now have the old naming convention, and it just kind of turns into this thing. And I guess I say all of that to let everyone here know that like I've worked in this system for a decade, and everyone I've worked with goes through that. There's like, other than new apps, there is no app I've ever seen that did not have some version of that. So I guess I want to just say that to like let everyone sort of be at peace and know that it's okay. Messy tags happen, weird naming conventions happen. I have to launch this and I'm just going to call it, whatever. It happens. Everybody does it. Everybody goes through it. You're not doing something wrong. You're not a bad practitioner of the thing just because you're like a busy business owner.
I can tell you are a nice mom, because I feel very comforted right now as somebody who just names tags quickly and doesn't categorize them. from time to time. And the beauty is that the system lets you go back and fix it later.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I just second what Jillian said, and there is no reason to let a messy tags ruin your experience inside of the software, because you can always go back, no matter how much the forest is overgrown. You can go back and clean that up when it's time.
Yeah. And like you said, with renaming things, let's talk about naming conventions for just a minute. There are plenty of certified partners like myself, users and business owners like myself, other businesses attached to the Keap community who will say that, you know, they have this naming convention or they have that naming convention and they have this idea and that idea and download this campaign and get these tags and that can, right? And all of that is fine and wonderful and beautiful and necessary. But I just, again, maybe I'm putting everybody at ease, but I want to say the best naming convention that you can use is the one that you're actually going to use and stick to. So this person or this company, this idea of this shiny object over here can be wonderful and can be really, really good for somebody who's, you know, well advanced in the software or has a business with multiple apps or has like something really advanced going on, but maybe that might not suit you right this second. So whatever naming convention you're going to use and adopt with, you know, categorizing and naming of tags, the best one you can have is the one that you're actually going to use and that makes sense to you. There are numbering systems you can use. Some of them make sense, some of them don't. But whatever it is that you will actually do and stick to, that is the best one, in my opinion.
I just shared a link in the chat here with a collection of some of the more popular naming conventions that I've collected throughout the Keap ecosystem. And people, like, as Jillian knows, I have, you know, my own like audience of Keap users and a membership of Keap users that I support. And people have asked me like, well, why don't you have like a monkey pod system? And my answer is always like, the world doesn't need another tagging system. Like, there are literally a dozen in this blog post. And I don't believe that I would do it any better or differently. And it's not about that. It's about what makes sense to you. And so my advice is always like, having any system is the answer. And if any of these resonate with you or make sense to you, then that's the one. And if one of them is close but not quite there, tweak it, make it your own, you know. And I hope that feels empowering. It's interesting because like small business owners are often like the get it figured out type of people, but in this one particular area, they're like, what are all the rules, please? If somebody could show me exactly what to do. And the truth is, like, you know, just design a system that you can follow and that you, what did you say, that you can stick to or that you can embrace, because that is the answer. And again, this is another example of doing favors for the future versions of yourself. If you are a solopreneur, it's easier to go without a system for longer because it's all you, right? I understand my own like shorthand. I understand my own acronyms. I know what I meant. But if you have a team or you plan to have a team or you're working with contractors, then the earlier that you can embrace a system, you know, the more gratitude the future versions of yourself will feel.
Totally. Yeah. We have a client who needed a this is not on the tagging topic, but we have a client that we test a lot of order forms for, and we needed like a $0, zero balance, like free coupon code or promo code so that we could like run tests and stuff. And I made the mistake at the time of asking like, what do you want this promo code to be? And really I should have just made something up, but they were like, oh, let's make it the business owner's like middle name or something, right? Something that like nobody would know. And I was like, okay, cool. And so now all of us who are part of that decision know that that coupon code is used for this specific thing. But any new team members that that company brings on, they're like, the blah 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 code, like what is that, what do we do with that, like, and then it turns into this explanation, and then it turns into conversations about, well, maybe we should have SOPs about this and that. And so yeah, I completely agree.
She almost dropped the middle name, and if it's a product we all want, that would have been a value add here, Jillian. Yeah.
I know, right? It's already 9 p.m. for me. I gotta watch what I say. Something I would love to show you guys when it comes to tagging as well, if I could share my screen. I find that a lot of people that I speak to, a lot of users that I teach, and a lot of clients that we have, they don't necessarily have to know, although it's incredibly valuable to know, like, when you go here and you click this drop down and you go to this button and blah, 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 and this thing happens. Like, the roadmap is incredibly important, but most people just want to know, what do I do with that thing, right? Like, okay, cool, I know that the system is capable of X, Y, and Z, but how are, like, kind of like Greg said, right? Like, show me the thing, give me real world examples, tell me how other people are using it. And that tends to be more of the conversation that I've been having with clients the last few years, is just what are other people doing? What are other, so I want to show you guys,
You should have access there. Is it
okay.
letting you? Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm just, on my soapbox and I haven't clicked the button yet.
Yeah, we did, Jillian, I don't know if you, how closely you've been following like the content in the workshop, but we had 3 modules released in today's content that talk about tags. So like tag theory, like at a high level, like tags, tag categories, functionally, like the different purposes as segmentation, as trigger tags, or as like reporting tags. And then we also gave some examples of tags and like showed the various ways that they could be applied or removed automatically. So for the people who have been through today's content, they've got a little bit of a running start for this, but for anyone who doesn't, it'll be helpful to hear some like real world application that couldn't cement it home. And shout out to, I think it was Dane joining from Austin, who said Dane is halfway through the content from today, and the tag videos happen to be in the first half. So good on you, Dane.
Very good, Dane. Good job. So what I want to show you, and this is like literally my own app for our business, but something that a real world example in our business, like I have the mama entrepreneur side and we do like coaching and stuff, but I also own an implementation business. Like we service Keap clients and do campaign building and strategy and implementation for them. And a lot of the clients that we work with tend to be like coaches, authors, speakers, people who have like live events and run webinars. And we found that we had to get really clear and organized with our naming conventions when helping these clients run live events, because a lot of them will sort of rinse and repeat campaigns. And I'll show you guys something really cool when we talk about custom fields, but we just had to get really clear on our tagging. And so the naming convention that I tend to like when it comes to events specifically is commonality variable, commonality variable, commonality variable, right? So if we have like an events category and then the name of the event, right? Like super fantastic, awesome event, Dallas, super fantastic, awesome event, Orlando. So it's commonality, that event, and then it's the name of the city that they're hosting that event in. Because what's going to happen when you pull up tag searches, when you're in the campaign builder clicking to apply those tags and you're searching for those tags by like a keyword or a name, maybe you remember like the name of the event, but you don't remember all the cities that they that we're hosting them in, right? And so you have to kind of search for those. So I really like that naming convention of like the commonality first and then the variable, then the thing. Because if it was, Chicago event, Dallas event, da-da-da event, it just looks kind of funky when like everything's lined up in alphabetical order. Like when you're in a tag search or a contact search and you're looking for those things, it just makes it, in my opinion, a lot easier to see. And maybe this is just the way my like linear brain works. I know I'm looking for that event. What's that variable, right? What's the city? What's the place?
Love that. I think that my mind usually goes to the specific thing when I'm like, when you think about contact searches, and you're using the tag search, I usually go to the variable in my mind, but I've never heard it explained quite like you just explained it, where it's commonality and variable. And I think that that's just a really helpful way from a baseline standpoint. And the variable, which is what you're kind of showing off here, is it can be expanded, right? It can be variables, plural, when it comes to what that variable or variables are.
I missed a comma. Did you guys know, I'm assuming you taught this, Greg, is that when you're creating multiple tags at one time, you just put a comma in between them. And if you type it correctly, like I did not, you can create multiple tags
maybe
at
you
once.
can maybe you can show how to delete tags and then go back in, like if you
Yeah.
accidentally did it.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to copy that. Yeah.
I did call that out as like a pro tip in the module, but
Yep.
it's amazing how it says it and so many people still, overlook it or aren't quite aware of it. Yeah. It's that blue call out right above it. And we still, like, our brains like tune it out or overlook it,
Yeah. Yeah. Right there. Exactly. Yep. Love it. Something else that we did with, and this is not necessarily for solopreneurs, like Greg said, but when you get into working with a team and you have SOPs and procedural documents, and like a lot of our team works with like project managers and people who are clients of ours, and they have big teams. Some of them do. So we started in the description putting that like our team created that tag, so that if there was any question or confusion, like our name is in there and we can have ownership over what that is and why.
Yeah, I love that. The description is, for a long time, I was like, what's the point? Like the tag is its own label. Like, why do I need an explanation for it? And then I started running my own business and I was like, oh, right. It's because we have a lot of things going on. And, in the moment you create that tag, it makes perfect sense to you. And we will write things or abbreviate things that we like trust that we will understand later. And I'll tell you what, I have never once regretted adding a description. It only serves you, especially if you're collaborating with someone, or if it's a client of yours, or if you are training new people who are going to need to like know what was on your mind at that time. And that description is only internal. So like you can write whatever you want there. You can link to internal documents, etc.
There's also the negative aversion that I can give, which is if you don't do that, there's nothing worse inside of your Keap app than going and finding a tag name and not knowing what it means.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Buddy, I noticed that your camera seems to be off, and I know that you are a shy guy, but what is happening is we are depriving our attendees from your beautiful face as they hear your voice. So
am I back?
You're back. Yeah.
I'm back. I'm back,
but the way
baby.
that Zoom works when we're screen sharing is it spotlights just the speaker. And so when you're talking, there's no face showing.
Well, if my face doesn't show, I'd like you to imagine like a Brad Pitt or
like a young Brad,
like that.
I was going to say a young Brad Pitt, but really Eddie Brad
Pitt.
Pitt.
Yeah. But yeah, but what I was saying is we all know the feeling of going into somebody else's app and looking at their tag names and having no idea what the tags are, and then asking that person, what does this tag mean? And them saying, I don't know, somebody else created it. So the aversion of that, and me bringing this up is hoping that the people listening today will say, I'm not just making the tag name for myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm making it for others.
Yeah. I think also ideally, in a perfect world, one tag is for one thing and does one thing. But we know, and I've definitely been guilty of creating campaigns where a tag does a couple of things, or this tag pulls them out of one campaign and simultaneously puts them into another campaign. But that's only in my brain when I'm doing that thing and making that choice. The description is a great place to put those details as well, that unless you have a bird's eye view on every campaign that you're running and how they're interacting and playing off of one another, how would anyone know that? How would anyone on my team know that if I didn't either add that to the naming of that tag or write it in the description so that they could easily be aware of that decision?
Perfect. Jillian, do you have any other rules or best practices or even like mistakes that you see people commonly make with like regards to their tag setups?
The abbreviation one is huge, unless, like I said, unless you're going to create an abbreviation that you are going to stick with and document or memorize, or it's going to be ingrained in your company culture and everybody knows it. Don't abbreviate, just have a tag that's a billion characters long and accept it. It is what it is. Because 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, you're not going to know what the heck that thing is. I think the other one tends to be like when you're testing something. I cannot tell you how many apps I've gone into that was like Bob test, Jeff test, Sally test, and like these tags are for nothing. They serve no purpose. I've seen a lot of people do testing tags where they put like an asterisk or a pound so that that tag comes up at the top of like the tag search when you go and you're like looking alphabetically in like a contact search. And yeah, it's a really easy cheater sort of way to like create a quickie test tag, but then like go back and delete that ish because you don't need that mudding up your business stuff. So
Yeah, I actually have a category specifically for test tags. So that even
of course you do.
Even my garbage is like organized into a singular bin. But I also know that I do way more testing than most people because this is the space that I live in. We got a couple of questions here, if you don't mind deviating for just a moment.
Yeah.
Melinda asked, like, can campaigns be triggered by 2 different tags? And I'll let you knock that softball out of the park.
Yeah. So there's kind of two elements to the 2 tag question is, can a campaign be triggered by 2 different tags, or can a campaign be triggered by both tags having to be applied, right? So like it's either like a one or the other, or it's a both sort of scenario. And I'm not sure which one specifically Melinda's asking about, but it's the same relative answer is yes. A campaign can be triggered by one of these 2 tags being applied, kicking them into this starter sequence. And prior to, what was it, the last big like product update, you had to create a decision diamond to like run if they have this, okay, cool. If they have both, then move them forward, kind of a thing. But now inside of the actual tag, we have an and or statement, which is pretty cool. So depending, Melinda,
Melinda, yeah.
yeah, depending on exactly what strategy she's thinking about and asking for, you can do both.
I would
Yeah,
like
so-
to add that it
Go-
could be for the Melissas out there as well, but we appreciate it as well that you went through it.
Yeah, and Jillian, I actually had the same thought recently. I think that they must have rolled back the so the and or that you see there, I think is for an individual tag or a tag category. But
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
they were working on an update that would allow tag goals to only be achieved when a set of tags were applied. And I thought they released an initial version of that, but I later noticed that it wasn't there. And so I think that they have temporarily rolled that back. But the point is, yes, multiple tags can trigger the same campaign, or because it's a goal, could stop the same campaign, right? Tags can start or stop. And you also can trigger automation when any tag in a category is applied, which can be really useful if you want to trigger anytime somebody gets any tag in your customer category or any tag in your member category, right? There's a lot of use cases for the category application, which until this released, the category functionality was like largely aesthetic, and now it can be functional as well, which creates it just creates a lot of power there. So thank you for the question, Melinda, and thank you to all the Melissas who may have benefited from that as well.
Yeah.
The other question was from Cameron, who said, can you speak to like we've seen tagging conventions that include like trigger or start or stop or functional, like some of those like mechanisms or terms, and like the obviously the implication is it would be starting or stopping automation, but like the benefit to adding that language in your tagging structure.
Yeah, so I do that as well, and I continue to use my like commonality variable theme. So I do like commonality variable start, commonality variable stop, and I capitalize my starts and my stops. Let me see if I can find, or I'm probably going to say this and then like not find an example. Yeah, totally. Here we go. Like potential app purchase. This is like my my opportunities module, right? And it's starting. That's
Bingo.
it. And then I've gone back and like have done a different way a few years ago, and it happens. Everybody does it.
We had a comment from Yarrick who added that like the structure you mentioned, commonality variable, also makes a big difference for like a lot of integrations. A lot of tools out there that integrate with Keap will list the tags alphabetically and as the mechanism for integrating. Like tags are oftentimes the vehicle that they use for that integration to start or stop automation. So having the commonality first keeps that group of tags listed together in the integration setting as well. Nice call out, Yarrick.
Yeah, I'd say also most of the integrations that work with Keap integrate the tag based on the tag ID on the back end. You'll see the tag on the front end, like when you're setting up that integration, you'll see the tag name and it will ask you for the tag name. But on the back end, inside of like the guts of the code, it will actually do everything by ID. And that is for the purpose of you being able to rename stuff and not completely break your integration. And there's one, is it Zapier or is it something else that does everything by name? And if you change your name, it screws you. What is it?
Yeah, I've seen that in Zapier where if you change the name, you have to like rebuild that Zap, but I haven't seen it consistently enough that I'm sure that's the issue, because I've had really good luck with my Zaps not breaking. But I also am not changing the names of my tags very often, so that might be on me. Yeah, I think it's probably a good practice, like when you change those tag names, to double check any integrations just in case. But Yeah, Jade said Zapier can be fragile. Fair point. Okay, so can you open that campaign back up? I want to call one other thing out. The one that had the 3 goals. Okay, yeah, I see it. Sorry, I was watching the live stream, which is obviously delayed.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, come on, Jillian. Yeah. Okay, so you might be looking at this and saying like, okay, if I have 3 tags triggering the same sequence, why wouldn't I just use one tag goal? And you could, like, one tag goal can listen for any of these 3 tags, but the benefit of having it broken out into 3 tags is that when you switch to reporting, you can see specifically which tag was achieved most, right? If it's one goal, then all of the reporting is baked into that one goal. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes you don't care about the distinction there, but sometimes you want to be able to see if these are traffic sources, you want to know traffic source A, B, or C, which one, drove you X number of leads in that window. That's all.
Exactly. Like this is Google ads, this is Facebook ads, this is LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever your thing is. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Good shout out. Any other tag questions before, or comments, ideas before we move on to custom fields?
You can keep rolling. Anything, if I missed it, I don't think I missed anything, but if I did, I'll flag it and we can circle back to it at the end.
I think the last thing, I mean, it's a decision diamond based, right? To point out, since we're in this campaign, is like
Sure.
there's uses when it comes to beyond triggering, right? Especially on the screen that we're on. So you mentioned decision diamonds, but if you were to add another sequence in there, and somebody started, and we have path A and path B here, just remember that decision diamond that appears, because she connected to multiple outcomes, allows you to sort based on the tag as well. So we were talking a lot about only allowing people to go down paths if they have certain combinations of tags. And the way that you could do that without pulling your hair out all the way is using a decision diamond to just say, hey, yes, I started them with a certain tag, but we're not going to put them down a certain path unless they hit all the requirements from a logic standpoint and a criteria standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do that inside of multiple clients, like I said, who run live events in particular, because we have certain emails that go out to these attendees if they've attended the same event in the past versus the email that goes out to them if they're brand new to attending this event, or if they're part of like the core like yearly mastermind program, then they get a different email for attending this event, and they don't have to pay for the event because it's part of like their mastermind package. And so we don't have to trigger, an action set that creates an order and does the whole thing. So we avoid that path as well. And it allows us to truly segment and to deliver that content specifically to that person. Because if I send, right, like if I send the, hey, welcome to the event email, or hey, like, welcome, we're so glad to have you as a brand new participant in XYZ event, to somebody who's like been into it, 5 times, well, that's a little weird. And stupidly enough, like a little bit disheartening for the person that's been loyal to your business for 5 years. But, and it happens, it totally happens. We're human beings, software perfect, but.
Jillian,
yeah.
So I want to just highlight that because I think you just said something that's really important. I'm going to see if I have a campaign that I can share for this one. What you're describing is like one of the bigger fears people have about automation, is automation being triggered that isn't relevant for that person, right? If they went through this and we have an automated experience in mind, well, like if it's not a good fit for them, then like I want to be able to steer them somewhere else. And what you're describing is the answer to that. It's like, okay, cool. So you use a tag to mark that individual. They've already been here before, or they've already done the thing we're trying to get them to do. And then if they come back, we put them into a different bucket. So this is a campaign of mine. Before I share it, I should tell everyone there's a lot going on, so don't panic, and I will explain it. Okay. So this is a campaign of mine. It is my web page automation campaign, and it's actually like a dozen different campaigns. So this is a campaign, this is a campaign, this is a campaign, right? So each of these are individual campaigns. So I'll just pull one of these out just to like make our lives a little bit easier. And actually, I've turned all these campaigns off. As you probably can see, they're no longer published because I don't sell my courses any longer. Thanks to a partnership with Keap, all of the Monkey Pod courses are now free. But here's what was happening. When somebody visits this page, which is my referral pod sales page or order form, right? This is the order form URL for my referral pod course. I want to follow up with them and say, hey, you were checking out that course. You were checking out that course. Like, did you want to buy that course? And if they buy that course, they never see that follow-up. But sometimes what would happen is like somebody who had purchased the course already would go to that page. And there's no reason for me to follow up with that person and say, hey, did you want to buy this course? So I only learned this the hard way by having it happen, right? So I added this filter. If they have already purchased the referral pod, just put them into here, right? And in this sequence, I just pull them out. That's it. That's the end of the road. Now, I actually, for a while, what I would do is I would check and see, are they a partner of mine? Are they a referral partner? And if they are, send them their link, right? Because why would they be on that page? They're probably grabbing it to recommend it for someone else, right? So as Jillian said, like when you design your automation, I get it, guys. It's hard enough to get the first path, the first journey mapped out. But I like to encourage people to spend an extra moment and comb over it and ask, what would happen if somebody came through this again? And sometimes it's fine. Like if they opt in for an ebook a second time, send them the ebook a second time, like not the end of the world, right? But as she said, if you know that they've already joined the thing that you're promoting, you want to speak to that individual as an individual. And tags are a big way to denote like exactly what you know about that person, the things that they have done, so that you can use it to tailor their experience. And the other mechanism is custom fields. That, my friends, is a segue.
That was butter. That that was beautiful.
Yeah, you could talk more about tags if you've got more, but I know we were leading towards custom fields anyway.
Oh no, we're there, my friend. We're going for it. All right.
Okay.
So custom fields. I wanna while we're on the topic of working in the campaign builder here, and I'll go ahead and share my screen again. I wanna, this is a little bit more advanced, a little ninja tricky, but I'm loving the energy of this room right now, and I think we can go there. So there is a custom field, so to speak, specifically for campaigns. And if you guys have never seen it, you click on, I'm gonna move my face for a second. You click on this little actions button, and it is these little merge fields. So these are called campaign merge fields, and think of them as custom fields that are specific to this one campaign. Unlike contact fields, order form fields, all those guys, once you leave this campaign, these stay here, right? This is like your furniture in your house. When you leave and go to somebody else's house, your furniture, Lord willing, stays in your house. You're not taking, your bed or your sink off to your neighbor's house or whatever. So these fields are custom fields, but specifically did you like that analogy, Greg?
I did, yeah. I just moved, and so like we're meeting the neighbors and stuff, and I'm just picturing like, hey, I'm here, brought sink in hand, yeah.
I have a big monkey pod logo. Can you like put this on your wall just in case I need to film? This is like good light in here. No.
Just in case your house is in my backdrop, do you mind if I put some monkey pod trees in your yard? Yeah.
I love it. So yeah, so these, think of them as like custom fields specific for this one campaign. Once you go to another campaign, you'll have to recreate them. But here's the real world example. And again, this is exactly what we do for our clients. They run live events. So within that live event, we need a custom field or a campaign merge field for the name of the event, the city that they're in, the hotel name, the hotel address, the booking link to the hotel, the link to the whatever, right. You can have as many as you want, as far as I know. And this is how we create those so that, because like I said, we kind of rinse and repeat a lot of these event campaigns because a lot of our clients, their businesses are very cyclical and they run the same events year round. So we just come in, wipe the campaign clean, meaning we have an action set that like basically pulls everybody out of every sequence and make sure there's like nobody in there. And then we unpublish, go in, change these campaign merge fields to whatever the next event details are, address, name, all that stuff. And then we could just add people back in here and we don't have to recreate the wheel every single time.
Yeah, these came up briefly on the Q&A session that we had Lisa join us, Lisa Cato from the UK join us on. But I can't talk about these enough because it blows my mind. There's a disproportionate relationship between how powerful these are and how few people have taken advantage of them. And it's so valuable, but it's a little bit like, I don't know, it's a little bit abstract. And so it can be hard for people to wrap their brains around, but that's the answer. It's like, if you need variables that are unique to your campaign, or links, right? It's not just merge fields, but also links that are unique to this campaign. You can set them up as a central bank of values, use them all throughout this campaign. And then if and when they change, or when you run a different event or what have you, you just change it in one place and it populates throughout your whole campaign. Yeah, Melinda said, I love it. So you just change the merge field info. Monique said, you guys are so chill. Love it. Well, thank you, Monique. You're pretty chill yourself.
Thanks, Monique.
Yeah. Cool. And this is also, it's a good way to save like custom fields for your database. If you know that like this information is going to be the same for everyone, but variable like based on the event, then this is a perfect, or based on the campaign or based on the season or the time of year, right? If it's a promotion that is like going to shift or whatever, but it's not unique to the individual, then this is the answer.
Yeah, I love these and we use them all the time. I was on an automation hours with Grady like a month or so ago and someone was asking like, how do I not like rinse and repeat my campaigns, but like, how do I change a bunch of fields without having to go into every single stinking email and change every field? This is how you do it.
Yeah. And one like my least favorite part about showing people this is inevitably they'll realize there were times in the past when they should have used this but it's like, hey, now that you know, right, like this is one of those things that it's better to learn now because it takes a little while to build it into like your normal process to like start embracing it. There isn't a super easy way to retroactively add it to your campaigns, but like once you recognize this, when you build new campaigns, this is a muscle you can deploy. Yarek asked if these fields, campaign merge fields, campaign links, can be updated through the API. And I believe the answer is no at this point. I've heard that request a few different times. So like if your shopping cart like hit inventory 0, you could update like the product that's being promoted, right? Like there's a bunch of use cases for why you might want that. But I don't believe these are accessible through the API yet. Melinda just brought up, you could use this for like seasonal sales, like whatever the next sale, like the Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, or whatever the upcoming occasion was. You're 100% right. And the more you talk about this, right, the more we as partners and as a community talk about this, the more examples surface and the more valuable it becomes. And that is true for, like, I don't know, every aspect of the software, right? Like, the more you hear from other people on how they're using it, the more you get ideas for how it could be a fit in your business as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. I love that. I love these things. I feel like there's so many light bulb moments when people get to see the real world examples connected with, okay, here's where I go to do that. Here's how I do that. Here's the piece. Here's the spark. And kind of like Greg, you were saying on Monday on like the welcome call, this really is a buffet. This is an opportunity for you to get and consume as much or as little as you want or as you can possibly withstand. But it's also an opportunity for you to take that thing, that spark, that idea, and you don't have to take it for what it is and carbon copy it. You can take it and that can inspire something else that might be applicable for your specific business.
Bingo. And Mike just dropped a message in the chat. He is taking off. Love that dude. But here's the thing, guys. He has tickets to a Padres game, and he was like, Greg, I don't want to bail on this. And I said, you absolutely should take your girlfriend to the Padres game. Like, that is the reason we are in small business, is to support the lifestyle that you want and the flexibility, that it provides. And like, nobody knows that better than entrepreneurs. So he was like kind of self-conscious about it, and I'm outing him publicly because I would say the same thing to any of you guys. Like, this event needs to serve us all, and the way that we do that is by like letting it, letting like giving to it when we can, and then also like letting it create the space for him to do fun stuff like that. Okay, Melinda. All right, so I don't want to derail us. I know we're almost at time here. Do you want to share anything else about custom fields or any other organizational strategies that you had on your list before I jump into like other random thoughts and tangents?
Yeah, I would say the one other cool thing that I want to show about custom fields, we'll go over here. You can tell I've been on a 15-month maternity leave and haven't been in the system a whole lot lately, but
I'm so glad to hear that, actually. Like, that is great.
thank you. My son thinks so too. He's pretty happy. So it wasn't the case for a long time that this was obvious, but the way that they have contact custom fields set up now is this is super obvious, is you can have multiple tabs on the contact record that are specific for your custom fields. So think of these tabs as kind of the category of your tag, right? All of those tags file, so to speak, underneath that category. All of your custom fields file themselves, so to speak, underneath this one tab. So again, using some real world examples, we have a couple of like lawyer clients and some of our live event clients that have people apply just to go to this live event or just to be a client of someone. And so that application is one tab with their own set of custom fields. The next tab could be if you have an appointment integration, like whatever you have, appointment core, Calendly, schedule once, whatever your thing is, you don't want those appointment custom fields to be like in the middle of your application custom fields or whatever other custom fields, because then like that stuff belongs over here, right? And this stuff belongs over there. Like, you're not going to take something like eggs or milk that should be in the refrigerator and put it in the pantry. Although when I was sleep deprived and waking up, multiple hours every night, I totally did that and woke up and was like, oh, looks like we need milk. Okay, cool. But this is an opportunity for you to organize your stuff in a way that is really visually appealing. And, you know, the application custom fields are on this tab, and the tag custom, or the appointment custom fields are on this tab, and the yada, yada, yada custom fields, right? And you can do it by integration, you can do it by whatever your specificity is, but whatever visually helps you to organize things. I just love that. And I feel like I have gone into so many applications where all of their custom fields were just on like a custom fields tab, and it was literally like everything. And it was just so difficult to make heads or tails of what is going on. Whereas if you put it all inside of different tabs, it makes more sense. It's visually appealing, it's organized.
Yeah, I will add. So exactly right, and this is one of those things that even like nobody tells you you're going to need. So when you start creating custom fields, the default is a tab called custom fields, which is fine until you have more than a handful of custom fields, and then it starts to get bloated. It starts to be hard to look at, and like functionally, you can still find what you need if they're all on one, but you will waste time, and that time adds up, right? And if you bring other people on, it takes them time to figure out what is where. And it's one of those things that like every longtime Keap user wishes they would have been better at early on, like having a tagging convention. I've mentioned a few different times, we recently moved. So I am in a new house, and as with any new house, like we're figuring out where we want to put our stuff, right? We're unpacking, and like we're doing it very slowly to the point where I would rather just get unpacked. But my partner, who is wiser than I am, is like, no, everything needs to be in a place by choice, not because we needed to get the boxes empty, right? And like it makes a big difference. Of course, she's right. Like I would have just unloaded into our kitchen, and then I would have spent months being frustrated why the stuff was in this place as it was, because it wasn't a choice, right? And so it takes a little bit of forethought, a little bit of planning, but to know that like my tabs, I do have the custom fields tab, but then I have comments, which is like anything that is like a survey or feedback or my contact us form. And then I have an integration, a multiple contact entry. It was a product that if people purchased my course for somebody else, there was a set of fields that were related to that. I have an application for an event that I run that collects details about the business who's going to be attending the event. That's all on one tab. And then I have a tab for my membership, which is their start date, their last payment date. And like nobody cancels my membership, obviously, but if there was a cancel request, it would be stored there as well. And so when you have like, I don't know, more than a handful of custom fields, it makes sense to think about how you use them and to put the right fields in the right place. I will throw our mutual friend and moderator in this group, Brian Keith, under the bus. Brian Keith and I collaborated on the Keap starter kit, which is the for the pro version of Keap. We created a mini course, and it was great. And we hosted it out of his app for a long time. But every time I had to log into his account, I couldn't find the password field for people because it's buried in the middle of that custom fields tab with like 20 other, and like that field is far and away the most valuable custom field. But in his account, it was on the custom fields tab with all the other custom fields. And, you know, I love Brian. He's an expert in the software, an expert with small business, but that was one thing that like even the pros could be better at. Go ahead, Jillian. Yeah.
I think also sometimes it's like the path of least resistance is like, I'm the business owner, I'm the solopreneur, and I know that when I click on that custom fields tab, my eye has to go, you know, like 3/4. You just get into that muscle memory of this is where the thing's at, not recognizing or not having to recognize that someone like yourself or another team member or a new person or a contractor, whoever, wouldn't have a clue in this world where that thing exists, but you have the muscle memory to know, okay, I have to do this thing. And it's a lot easier to remember that like arduous path to get to the thing than it is to like fix it, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I say over and over, like everything would just be a lot easier if everyone could read my mind, right? Like that would be it. If you just knew exactly what I wanted without me having to say it, or exactly what I meant, even if I don't say it, we would all just be, things would be a lot easier. So, um, okay. So let's put a bow on it.
Yeah.
We're a few minutes over, and I know it's later for you on the East Coast than it is for me here. But like, what are the grounding principles that, if nothing else, we want people to take away from tonight?
Yeah. I think the big one for tags is the naming convention that is best for you is the one that you're going to use and stick to. And really for custom fields, I see a lot of custom fields that are duplicates. I see a lot of custom fields people don't need, a lot of like disorganization in custom fields, a lot of fields that are chosen as one thing, right? Like a date or a paragraph or a whatever it is, that are then used as something else, and those need to be fixed or whatever. So I would say really like those would be the big ones for me.
Yeah, I was going to add the custom field types as like just the call out is like it matters more than people think, because it can be confusing when you're setting up a custom field and you don't understand all of the different types, but it has ramifications that like you will later wish you had done in terms of how you query those fields and in terms of how you use them for segmentation, for reports, etc. So this has been super valuable. I think one takeaway that I will add is just like, guys, it is Friday evening in the, for most of us, Saturday morning for some folks, in the middle of a 10-day workshop. And I'm just so grateful to have you all joining us.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot. I know that there are probably other things that you could be doing or that are demanding your attention. But the fact that you are here says something, and it deserves to be acknowledged. And the fact that we chose this as a topic, I hope, says to you like why we believe this is so important. I know there are sexier parts of the software, but this is critical, and it affects everything. It's one of those features that is just like pervasive. It touches all of the other aspects. It makes so much more possible. Okay, Jillian, thank you so much, my friend. This has been an absolute blast. You are just an asset to this community, to the small business space. I've loved watching your growth and your journey as a small business, from virtual assistant to CEO to mamapreneur. It's just a blast to be your friend and to overlap and to just watch the generosity with which you serve this space. Rick said thank you. He appreciates the knowledge bombs. Melinda said this was awesome. She wants to rewatch the live streams. Eric's is joining us from Adelaide, South Australia. Lots of people just getting lots of value here. Thank you so much, Jillian. And I will finish.
Guys.
Yeah, I'll finish with this, which is just a reminder. There are two holidays here in the States this weekend. The first, tomorrow is the first time that Juneteenth is a federal holiday. And then Sunday is also Father's Day. So we have no new content planned for this weekend. No live streams and no recorded content being released. So if you are taking this weekend off, if you are unplugging, recharging, decompressing, I fully support that. No worries. But if you are like, I'm going to dig in, I'm going to double down, I'm going to rewatch some replays, if you want to spend this weekend being productive, I support that as well. Mike and I will be around. We'll be answering questions, cheering you guys on. This event it should only be a service to you guys to use it however you see fit. And as we have demonstrated, we are surrounded by wise and generous experts who are here and have your back as well. I think that's all she wrote.
Yeah. Greg, thank you guys. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for the service that you give to this community. I tell people all the time, whether you're a user, you're a certified partner, if you're in this space and you're here to just take, you're not going to last very long. but I've like I've accomplished a lot, and I've done a lot in my 10-year span as a user, or my 6 or 7-year span as a partner. But a lot of that truly is credit to like people like yourself and other partners in the leadership at Keap, who are in that relentless pursuit of serving small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I'm just so beyond words and beyond grateful to be a part of this community, and to everyone who is a user. Like you're absolutely in the right place among your tribe. We're all there with you.
Jillian, I believe I have said this to you before on one of our phone calls, but I believe the measure of any good relationship is when both people feel like they are getting the better end of the deal. And I feel that way. I certainly feel that way with you. I feel that way with this community. I feel that way with Keap. Like, and I hope that everybody, feels a sense of that as well. Like that you are being served by this space and by this ecosystem, because it's truly unparalleled. I have been a part of a number of small business groups and communities and workshops, and like there's just nothing like it. So I think it's just a circle of gratitude.
Mhm.
All right. That's it, friends. Thank you so much. Take care. Enjoy your weekend, however you choose to spend it. And we will be back with more content released Monday morning, section 4. Peace.